Welcome back, everybody, to the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship live from Jönköping, Sweden. We are here at the DreamHack Summer venue. Everything's looking good. There's a lot of people here at the venue. Everybody's waiting to see some more Heroes of the Storm goodness, I'm sure of that. With me at the panel now, we have more lovely people around. Actually, Wolf and Todd have joined us here. So very good to have these gentlemen on board. And of course, the next series is going to be none less than Team Tempest versus X Team. China versus Korea. Jay-Hao, are you excited about this?
Excited is an understatement. I mean,
it's an understatement for sure.
We talked about this right before break. I mean, we had a really quick break, by the way. But we talked about this right before the break. I mean, these two teams are familiar with each other. And, I mean, this right here is right up Wolf's alley. We've talked about several of these teams quite a bit. I mean, this guy lives in Korea, knows these teams. And I'm happy he's on this panel with us because I love what this guy has to say about all these teams.
I'm so excited because it's the first time I actually get to be on a panel for a Korean team in this tournament. So I'm going to be able to sit here and tell you guys what I'm thinking, what they're thinking, because this is the team that will show you the best team fighting in this tournament. If you haven't watched OGN Super League, which is the qualifier tournament for this, for this big league, this championship, they defeated the defending champions of VP Black 4-0 without dropping a map, and their team fighting is phenomenal. It's the best I think you're going to see in this entire tournament. So if you haven't watched this team yet, prepare to be amazed.
Yeah, and Todd, of course, the Chinese regions are looking very strong here in this tournament so far as well. E-Star, of course, is the big name. Everybody knows this team for sure, but what about X-Team?
X-Team, you know, we got to see them in the previous round. They had a pretty good showing, I think only losing to MVP Black. So, honestly, they impressed quite a bit, but now going up against the Korean champion that beat MVP Black 4-0, I'm not sure if anybody could say that X-Team are going to be the favorite. Obviously, they're going to have to be on their A game here today.
Absolutely, and we're now going to take a look at the group situations that we find ourselves in here once more. A little bit of an upset just happening here. My Insanity taking Dignitas down in a clean sweep here, 2-0, no biggie whatsoever. But now, X-Team against Tempest, that is going to be a match that will be taken on even footing. Both teams can be said to have the same power level. Of course, Team Tempest might be the minor favorite here because they have a little bit of a boon next to them. They took down the reigning world champion, and they were the only team to really pose a threat for MVP Black ever.
The fact that they didn't just beat MVP Black and they dominated MVP Black, I think that's what Wolf was just talking about. I mean, there's so much that happened there that just blew everybody.
Yeah.
In North America, we were in Burbank during the regionals, and everybody woke up, and it's like Twitter exploded. And we're all like, wait a minute. And the minute everybody got into the studio, everybody was in the crowd, everybody was talking about Tempest because they took that.
And I think a lot of people look at this and say, well, it was a bad series for Black. And I think those people are wrong. It was an amazing series for Tempest, the most improved team we've ever seen in Korea. They started with a loss to TNL, and they came all the way back, defeating TNL in the rematch and defeating Black in the finals. Nobody thought they'd be here. Everybody thought, yet again, we're going to see MVP Black and TNL. They destroyed TNL, they destroyed Black, and here they are coming in as the first seed from the hardest region in the world, Korea.
And Wolf, if I'm not mistaken, there's also a little bit of a background story in terms of roster swaps between MVP Black and Tempest. Can you talk us through that a little bit more?
Yeah, so of course Tempest is a team that's formed from basically a bunch of all-stars from old teams. But Lockdown was an ex-MVP Black member, and he was on the team that lost to DK before BlizzCon. Then they made the roster swap because he wanted to be with his brother Hyde, and that was the reason why he left MVP. And he didn't want to play for Sky anymore. So Hyde didn't want to play for Sky. Sky disbanded, and these two brothers were kind of teamless for a little while. Then they formed this new team, Tempest, and they worked together. We've seen the power of brothers in Heroes of the Storm on several different teams. There's so many of them, I don't want to list them all right now. But this duo of brothers working together on this team, at first it didn't look like it was maybe meant to be, but the further we went into OGN Super League, they found out they were actually the best team in Korea.
And not only are they the best team currently in Korea, but as Wolf also mentioned, they have the power of the brothers as their crucial backbone. So let's actually take a closer look at X-Team and what they have to offer in the Heroes of the Storm Summer Championship.
저희 팀은 이제 원래는 맨 처음에 포지션 변경을 하기 전에 운영으로 해보려는 팀이라는 소리를 많이 들었는데 저희 팀이 사실은 멘탈 부분에서 내부분열이 일어나지 않으면 정말 다른 팀보다 피지컬이나 뱀픽에서 절대 이기지 않을 거라 생각하거든요. 그래서 저희 팀이 만약에 멘탈 부분에서 잘 견딜 수 있으면 저희 팀이 확실히 우승할 수 있을 것 같아요.
저희가 한국에서 우승은 했지만 우선 한국 우승보다 저희가 우선 스웨덴 우승을 목표로 해왔거든요. 그래서 한국 우승보다 진짜 훨씬 더 중요하게 생각하고 한국 리그는 그냥 지금 이 대회를 하기 위해 연습한 것이라고 생각해요.
All right, of course, that was Team Tempest that we have just taken a look at. And I have to say, these players look very promising. I mean, everybody knows who MVP Rich is or who MVP Sake is, but these guys here, they are at the tournament to make a statement and to claim their rightfully earned spot as the second big Korean team.
Brothers reunited here together on this team. They've come so far. They've trained together so long, and it's all for this moment. And this is the first big international stage for these players. Lockdown, the ex-MVP Black player who was replaced by Rich when he left the team, now joined this team with his brother together, trying to go all the way. And for most of these players, it is their first time. However, Duck Duck is actually a StarCraft WCS Europe champion who actually has played on big stages in Europe itself. So he will have the most experience here.
Not just in Europe, he qualified for BlizzCon and beat Innovation there, one of the biggest StarCraft names. So Duck Duck, in terms of experience and being able to, you know, kind of bring that positive energy and that lack of stage fright is definitely going to be a big influence on the rest of the team. That guy's my hero, by the way. I love his fashion.
He has a different hat every time.
All week long. We probably can't show the other one, but but the biggest takeaway from that is that we've seen different interviews throughout, but I love the way that those guys had the mentality of a champion. It's not just to get here and qualify and do well. Every single one of them said their expectations are to win. And I love the fact when teams have that mentality, I feel that they have the confidence to overcome adversity and to be able to step forward. That's why that interview right there, Tempest alone, I'm already a fan.
Now, we've talked a lot about Team Tempest, but is there something, Wolf, that makes them stand out in terms of playstyle and overall way of approaching the game?
So they obviously draft really well, but that's not really the key for them. Whereas a lot of people point to Black's drafting as their composition to the way they win the game. And you look at players like Rich, his individual skill is often where he wins and takes charge. But for this team, they did a lot of roster swapping. They've changed the way they play. And I think what this team really centers on at the end of all things is their team fighting. And they will almost never win it or lose, excuse me, they almost never lose a team fight. And if they're losing a team fight, they will turn it around, just like we saw eStar do yesterday, a very similar style.
Definitely. So all about team fighting as a unit coming in here from Team Tempest. However, their Chinese opponents here on the battlefield, they are here to prove that that eStar Gaming is not the only Chinese team that can put up a good show in Heroes of the Storm. So let's throw it over to X Team.
其实对我来说，就是只是想要赢得这个比赛吧，能打到更高的名次吧。其实我到现在都不知道这个比赛奖金到底是多少，所以其实我不是很在乎，可能我其他队友稍微在乎一点吧。我只是想，就是因为其实我们是职业选手嘛，然后平常付出了很多的努力，我只是想就是不要辜负自己的汗水。
Misako will not be able to confirm that kill.
Throwing out the Holly Blast, she's going for it. There goes Sylvanas, does she get it? She does.
首先不管输赢吧，就可能是第一次来，也可能是就最后一次来了。不知道后面会发生什么，反正我会尽自己就最大的努力打好这次比赛。意义的话，也不管什么意义了，反正就是尽自己最大的努力。
X Team being led by their team captain Elegant, a very prominent figure in their roster. Many players actually say that if he performs well, that we are unstoppable.
And the thing is, they seem to have a great mentality around the whole team as well. Elegant in particular was saying he doesn't even know the prize money for this tournament. Imagine if he wins, it's like, congratulations, you're rich. I guess just focusing on playing their best as well, as much as there's always the big argument of, being able to say that you're aiming for that first place. These guys, they just want to play well and I guess come out happy out of a match, and that's a great way to go about it as well.
Absolutely. I think this team is really underrated in this tournament. This team defeated Edward Gaming, the team that made it to the finals in Korea's Spring Global Championship. They defeated that team. They crushed that team on their way here. One of the things about this team is, of course, Elegant, the guy you see on screen right now. He doesn't know the prize pool. He's so motivated to win this tournament. He leads his team to victory. And if you go back and watch their VODs, if you go back and watch the VODs in the Chinese League, against EDG, they were losing both their games in the early game, but they turned it around and came from behind to win. And this is something the X team has done consistently throughout the entire tournament. So if they're down in levels, if they're down a talent tier, never count them out. They know how to come back, and it's Elegant who makes the plays, who makes the calls.
I mean, it's something that we actually saw in the early group stages where Elegant, he was kind of the guy. And they basically said in the interview before, I believe, when they had talked about it, how much they rely on Elegant for his shot calling, for his gameplay. He is the glue that brings this team together, and he definitely shines, but he allows for the rest of his team to shine too, because they were making plays earlier in this week, and that's why they're here.
And they were making plays with heroes that aren't necessarily the top priority picks. Arthas, very prominent figure there, always the leader, so to speak, if you will, the tank frontliner to make the plays and lay the foundation.
I think part of the reason why we see Arthas so heavily on X Team specifically is because they do play against the Chinese Tyrael meta, the invulnerability meta. They want to slow that down. They want to keep it, I guess a little bit slower so they can get through that invulnerability, then survive the team fights. And I think that's something that they've become used to. They're also really, heavily relying on the Howling Blast for engages. Hasn't had an incredible amount of success for them. It hasn't been an easy run for them to actually get out of the initial group stage to get here. But we'll see if they can pull it off.
All right, if they can pull it off, of course, that is going to be the big questions. For now, we're going to take a look at what the first battleground of this best of three is going to be. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have Infernal Shrines on the line.
We talk about Tempest. We saw somebody named McIntyre run a Kerrigan yesterday, and this is an X factor, I think, for Tempest to be able to run Kerrigan on here. It's something that we have seen them pull before, so if you like the Kerrigan play yesterday, we might actually see it again today.
It's absolutely possible. I feel like Tempest is definitely going to be looking to hide strategies going forward because they are by far the favorite to get out of this group, so they don't want to show their big guns just yet. Very likely, we're going to the semis or even the grand finals. We'll see this map again. I think they probably want to keep that hidden.
Actually,
everybody knows they've done it, but
I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't think you can hide strategies there. This group is so stacked that if you lose one single match, then there is no room left for mistakes. So I feel like it would be very risky to try to go for an unusual draft, not reveal their best.
Well, tell that to my insanity.
Yeah, exactly.
But he did say he had strats, plural. That's what I loved about that interview before. He's like, strats. I'm like, plural? He said yes.
Definitely room for more cheese incoming here. Maybe in this best of three, who knows? I mean, Chinese teams, they're known for their aggression, and so is X Team. They are a very relentless team, charging in many, many times, led by Elegant most of the time.
This stresses me out a lot. When I see a team who's prepared so long for this match, they've known this group so long, they're burning bonus pool on their first ban. That means that the communication in that booth right now is not at 100%, because you've got to be going into this match knowing your first ban 100% to spend your entire bonus pool on this really stresses me. I think they're considering Zul or Falstad here, which one they want to take away. I personally would go with the Falstad if I was X Team here, but they're spending so much time on this.
Maybe some last-second hesitation.
And it is neither. It is a
Karazin.
Karazin.
What? This is a good ban for Chris Talo, but
do they have our strategy? I mean, this could be something that, think about it. My Insanity let Illidan through. And so does Tempest. Tempest is letting Illidan through. Perhaps they were watching the game before. Perhaps they have a similar strategy. If we get a first pick, Lili Lunara, I'm
Oh, and Illidan gets picked up.
They pick it up immediately.
My Insanity have changed the whole game.
If this is Lili Lunara, the whole tournament is just crazy to me.
Well, this is going to be really interesting because this is something we never see in Korea. In fact, I think Illidan was picked one time in the entire tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just something we do not see. And this is a cool idea for X Team to try to bait this out like this. And let's see how Tempest responds. It's not going to be an easy response. One of the responses we see in Korea oftentimes for Illidan is Brightwing. more than Lily just because of the polymorphs, also Sylvanas, but not something you want to take up right away. We might just see Tassadar and Muradin taken. That's the easy ban in Korea. That's what most teams go to. It's the go-to start when you see a first pick Illidan.
Dredd actually commented on this in the draft before. Dignitas did not pick up Tassadar when he was available, and that's something you often see. You normally see a main support, and then you see Tassadar there to help shield Illidan for him to go in and be able to do Illidan things. But another thing that we also see, and that I have here as highly prioritized by X Team, is Sonya.
And we do see also Dami loves his Sonya, one of the best Sonya players in the world. In my opinion, I think he is the best Sonya player, even better than Rich, much better than SC, for example, in Korea as well. And with this early pick, they can work with it a lot. It synergizes with the Tassadar.
Also, Sonya, of course, is one of those heroes that is very well prepared for Illidan. Not only does she not need auto attacks to damage him because of Stay Snake Slam, but also a potential, leap later on can really lay the foundation for a good engage on that Illidan.
Yeah, what we used to see a long time ago whenever you were facing an Illidan was like very crowd control heavy compositions, but it feels like Tempest in this case, they were like, well, you want to play your Illidan comp, we'll just play around our Sonya, pick up the Tassadar to make sure that they're going to have a lot of shields here for the fights. And then X Team replies with the Rhaegar and Muradin pickup. Very solid, I guess.
The fact that they banned out Kharazim and they picked up Rhaegar means that they can take Uther off the board. But Wolf, you talked about the fact that Brightwing is also one of those heroes that is used to help try and counter Illidan with that polymorph.
Yeah.
Her success isn't always as high, but when you pair it up with somebody like a Tassadar to be able to have extra shields and support there, it does go a long way.
It definitely does. I'm really curious what they're going to ban here. I think they're looking towards wave clear. Maybe going to be the Zul ban coming out at this point from Tempest. A lot of discussion going on in the booth right now. This is a tough draft to get your second ban on because you have obviously a strong tank, a frontliner, and a big support. And they're going to take Greymane away. Not what I expected. And there's the Uther ban, obviously, to deny Sonya that invulnerability.
So actually, as range damage dealers here, who are we going to see? I guess Liming's a strong option.
I don't like Li Ming on this map as much because there's so many minions that spawn around the shrines. It makes it really hard to land that. Plus, Illidan hops all over Li Ming.
This is going to be a Falstad pick, I'd say, almost 100%. Lockdown, an incredible Falstad. Here comes the ETC. The real big question is, what secondary support are we going to see here? Because we have the Uther ban, Rhaegar's already taken, the Kharazim ban, so we could see something crazy. We could even see maybe Morales.
Maybe a Tyrande to go for that double semi-support style. Also very strong with the Hunter's Mark against Illidan potentially.
They didn't lock down ETC, but if they do get ETC, the synergy in Korea is unparalleled with what they like to call the So-Randa, because ETC is called that because he's a cow, and in Korean, So is a cow.
I love that they did not pick up their support yet, because if they want to go, like Kendrick just said, if they want to go something like Morales, they have to make sure that X Team doesn't have something that can dive as heavy as Illidan. If it's just Illidan, you might be able to deal with it. If it's something else, then all of a sudden you're in trouble, and you're like, wait a minute, we should have waited on this pick. I love the fact that they waited to pick up their support.
Let's see what they do.
We've seen MVP Black shine a lot as well with Morales earlier, with Mary Day playing her very well. So
this is an interesting Vala show here. They only have 6 seconds to do to make this choice. We'll see if they lock it in. They're going to go with a more normal Sylvanas here. And Misaka does play an incredible Sylvanas. And Li Ming does actually the choice there.
Yeah, there really wasn't much left, I guess, to pick from.
True. Especially with Kael'thas and Greymane banned.
Unless they wanted to try something like a Tychus, because there is like ETC and Sonya at the front, but no, just gonna go for the most standard Li Ming.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the support.
No, this has got to be a Tyrande, I'd say, with ETC.
Really? I'm more on the fan of what you said earlier with Brightwing.
Brightwing is going to be great versus Illidan, but if you can lock him down in the early game and keep getting kills on him and start to snowball that early game, I think that's more of what Korea is looking towards, especially because they already have ETC. The Morales is just, I think, a bad choice here. I don't think we're going to be seeing her. And now Furion kind of off the table. If we're looking at TNL, maybe. And it looks like they are leaning towards that Brightwing. They've got it highlighted here.
I mean, something that we also cannot disregard is, of course, the synergy between Falstad and Brightwing. Double global mobility, ever so strong on many maps.
Yeah, they could stay on lanes much longer to soak that experience. Maybe wait for X Team to have captured a bunch of skeletons and then come into the fight kind of late, engage, make sure that they can't finish and get the...
It's also very forgiving if either of those heroes should happen to die, they can just reappear in the battlefield immediately.
I want to point out one thing on one of the reasons I think they went with Brightwing. If we take a look at the draft from X Team, the only hard CC that we're looking at there is a Muradin. You don't necessarily have to go cleanse against one hard CC. So Brightwing lends to that shield there at level 7, which makes her a little bit brighter pick.
Yeah, and also you can. Oh, that's clever.
There.
You can use her as a gank as well. She can actually phase in, polymorph a target who's trying to escape. The ETC gets the lockdown kill. That's something that's really powerful. I think on paper, when you look at this, the draft of X Team is really strong, and I actually kind of like it more. But I think that the execution of the early game pressure with ETC from what we're seeing from Tempest is just going to be tough for them to play around.
I like a lot of what Kendrick said. The fact that there's double global there, I mean, you don't necessarily have to commit to the shrines, and then you follow up like you just said. If you want to turn a 1v1 into a 2v1, or maybe there's somebody rotating, you can instantly change that fight, get an early pick, and change the entire fight there.
So Jayhao, Team Tempest is going a little bit of a different path than Dignitas to deal with a potential Illidan. Do you think they have what it takes to win game 1? What's your prediction?
Round number 2, letting Illidan through. I'm going with X Team.
Wolf.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I already said it, but I meant Tempest. Sorry, Tempest.
I'm feeling like I like the draft of X Team, but I'm gonna have to go with Tempest. I think they're gonna play a better game here.
And last but not least, Litot.
I'm gonna go with X Team, man. I'm feeling it. I like their interview, even though Tempest is looking pretty scary as well. I like both drafts. I'm not gonna have to go with X Team just because these guys didn't. Technically, you didn't want to.
I'm also gonna go with X Team because I think it's about time that Illidan shows why he is the Nexus most wanted hero right now. And I can't wait to see what our casters have to say. Dreadnought and Kalaris, take it away, boys.
The last time I cast Duck Duck on a stage, he actually won a championship back in 2014 in StarCraft 2. So this is a very, very special moment for me alongside you here, Dread, as we get into Tempest versus X Team, as we get into game number 1 for Infernal Shrines. To the left-hand side, it will be Tempest with Dami on Sonya. Hyde will be playing Brightwing. Honchono will be playing ETC. We have Lockdown on Falstad, and finally Duck Duck will be on Tassadar.
And for X Team, we are going to have Paradise, who is going to be on the Illidan. We're going to wait a minute here while we figure this out. Maybe a little bit of a DC or something of the like.
That's fine. That is fine.
But one thing, we were talking about the draft while it was going on.
Yes.
Before we get into this, and this is actually really common for Tempest. Not only because Lockdown on Falstad, which I have gone over millions of times how I am a complete fanboy of his Falstad. So much so I tried to draw a picture of it this morning like my Feels Bad Man, but I couldn't. Feels bad, man.
It was like Stitches, an abomination.
It was pretty bad. But they really do enjoy the Super Sonya style play with the Brightwing, with the globals on this map. And then they'll just give the shield, the permanent shield onto the Sonya. You hit it with the shield from the Brightwing, and suddenly Sonya cannot just be contested onto the shrine.
I didn't tell you this morning, but I'm a Lockdown fan too.
Are you?
I remember way back when I cast MVP Black going up against even Virtus Pro. Remember, Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen. It was a bit of a crazy broadcast, I'll have that. But Lockdown insta made me a fan, not only from the Korean games that I saw, but also him just dominating people. He was playing the Zero Tool, I think, at the time. And he just absolutely looked fantastic. And then when MVP Black dropped him, I was like, eh? And then it's kind of like, Rich, okay, yeah, I get it, but still, Lockdown's fantastic.
I agree. When the only time I managed to get to play against MVP Black, Lockdown left recently after, and he was without a doubt the most impressive player for me when playing against them. But as I said earlier, we do have X Team on the red side, where we're going to have Paradise playing the Illidan. Tao will be on the Rhaegar. Misaka is going to be on the Sylvanas. Elegant on the Murden, and Yao Yao on Li Ming.
All right, so we get into this. Tempest have got a lot of hype behind them because they took that Korean final against MVP Black. Now is their first game of the Summer Championship, and they're going to try and prove themselves that it wasn't just a fluke, it was nothing. Yeah. I'm in disagreement with Wolf. I think that, I think it might have been a bit more towards fluke than anything. You don't just beat MVP Black quite like that.
I think fluke is the improper term, but I do agree with you that it felt like we got them on a bad day. But you are correct in the sense that this is the first time we are going to see Tempest playing on the international stage, and already out the gates, the teams are threatening the front walls, but neither team gaining a major edge here, just taking out a turret here and there to get a bit of the XP.
I'm glad you correct me. Fluke is definitely the wrong term.
I think it's a little aggressive because they were the better team that day.
They were. Yes, they were. Definitely. So everything lined up for them is how we should put it. But for now, though, we'll see how this is going to go on. Already, as you said, they've got that comp comprising of Super Sonya. Shame they're not... Oh, are they running the skin? No, they're running the Master Skin. Oh, too good for us, Dammy. Sorry.
And one thing, too, to keep in mind here is I really like the choice that we had out of X Team when it came to the laning phase. It's a very common strategy for China specifically, running a 2-1-2 and trying to get pressure. When you see the rotations out of your opponents in one lane, you just essentially siege with the Sylvanas and then having the Illidan babied by the Rhaegar in the other lane here.
Yeah.
They haven't done too much with it, not nearly as much as I thought they were going to be able to do, but I do like the innovation that China pulls when they have Sylvanas in their compositions.
Yeah, I'm happy Meridian was kind of almost babysitting Li Ming as well towards the mid for the moment there, because it's all too easy that ETC will just roll on in like he does and, you know, trying to get those ganks very, very quickly and easily. So doing well there in that regard. And with the wind at level 4 for Sylvanas, not something as common, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it isn't one of the more common pickups, but I do enjoy the, I do like the talent pickup here. Already the aggression coming out from the Odin Cop. Here's the Super Sonya as we were talking about earlier, but Hong Kono taking a lot of damage, Claire's.
Ooh, likewise Elegant taking some damage, has to move away. Dammy's gonna go down as first blood. Great moves here by X Team to pick that up. And unfortunately, because Brightwing's not level 7, no proper shields on towards our lovely Sonya, so can't really stay alive.
Yeah, and they've already got a lead on the Skeletal Defenders here. X Team being very aggressive onto the Shrine after getting that early pickup here. Great play coming out from them so far. Keep in mind, though, without the shield at level 7 for the Brightwing, the composition on the side of Tempest isn't nearly as aggressive as it could be, especially post-10. Illidan has to worry about diving that hard because going into Sonya, she can just spam that W and smash your face in, but they do pick up the first defender.
Before 7, X Team definitely has the advantage here in terms of comp, so we're going to continue this on for a little bit. Punisher will push through the middle, get leaped on towards, and whoa, 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 Paradise! You went in very aggressive, my friend. But likewise, he was followed up by Muradin as well. So you can see that Chinese aggression coming out from X Team here.
Yeah, they are trying to make something happen. And this is only the first Punisher, taking the 4 halfway down, getting very aggressive on the backline. Hong Kono barely getting the power slide out here.
Yeah, that was very close. Once again, as soon as they see that Punisher jump, and that's what we can expect from this whole game. That is what we can expect from this whole game, unless they feel that Tempest's power spikes really are extremely strong. But I think even at 7, you know, and further on down the line, they're going to be able to just keep jumping on them.
Yeah, one thing that we brought up on the panel a bit earlier about this matchup specifically is that X Team is notorious for just having these 5-man death balls and team fights appropriately. And if Tempest gives them those type of fights, they can definitely gain the upper hand when it comes to this matchup. At the same time, they do have a double global.
Yep.
And if they're able to abuse that accordingly and kind of bait out 5-man rotation on the side of X Team, I feel like Tempest has the ability to massively outplay the rotations of X Team.
Yeah, imagine, I was just thinking to myself there, imagine stage dive, the ultimate global presence. But I think that that's very ambitious and not going to happen.
Yeah,
so it's fine.
Especially into an Illidan, because it provides a lot of utility, whether you want to isolate the backline or decide to isolate the Illidan itself. Mosh Pit becomes very valuable. But I do like that. That actually was a strategy North America ran for a short period of time.
I think I remember.
It was a triple global, and Sky Temple specifically was the map where you would see it, and you just had no ability to contest any of the shrines.
Yeah, you guys were disgusting. It was...
Were we Lunara Lili first rotation?
Okay, no. Not EU disgusting. Just
that was
don't go there.
That draft, the dream. That was very impressive from my insanity.
After the first game, I was tempted to knock Stitches off of this desk. I'll be honest with you. That was not great.
Oh man, but now again, looking at what this game has come to so far, I mean, it's very standard. Outside of the aggression that we've seen in the minor pickups that they've been able to get on Tempest, X Team has only secured a little bit of a lead in the confusion they're trying to figure out what this pause might be.
Yeah, I just want this sorted as quickly as possible. Completely understandable that they would take this pause, of course. They want to be as comfortable as they can when going into this game. It looks like X Team is ready. They're just waiting for Tempest to be completely ready on their side.
Yayo actually opted going Triumvirate as well at level 4, and expecting to get a lot of value out of it. In most maps you can, but because Skeletal Defenders can wear the orb coming out from Li Ming, typically it's not as valued on this map. I want to say that it's uncommon. It's just Li Ming as a whole obviously loses a bit of value, and that he needs to have great positioning to get value out of it. But I think we are going to be moving back into the game, Claire's.
Yup. So let's get back into Infernal Shrines here, as we already have this easy camp being taken by X Team. And they will acquire their level 7s with Calamity coming in. Iron Forge, Momentum, Barb Shot cleansed, and Illidan's just waiting on his level 7 as well.
Yeah, now again, with the power spike, it's not even that big of a power spike, but just having the additional shield to baby the Sonya onto the shrines here, if Brightwing is able to secure that, it will be really beneficial for their composition here. And X Team's done a very good job of applying pressure onto Tempest and all the front walls. They've been constantly rotating, like even on the bottom half of the map now, manipulating, abusing that Sylvanas. Misaka and the team doing a great job there.
That Haunting Wave is super important there for Sylvanas to get away. Of course, Sylvanas is one of the best pushing potentials that they have with this, and Honkono gonna try and power slide around that corner, was not successful in catching anybody. If it had caught Sylvanas, then Haunting Wave would have been on cooldown for a little while, so it would have died, but ETC, just keep rocking, my friend. He's taking that for level 7.
And now all the teams backing out, trying to get a pressure. We do see Tempest looking to get the Nightcap. Meanwhile, X Team is rotating to the Shaman Camp, trying to time that with the map objective. I like that choice a lot better than what we saw from Tempest. Yeah. They essentially capped the Shaman Camp and just completely neglected it, gaining no value, even though it is the strongest camp outside of a boss in the entire game here. So X Team gaining a slight upper hand as well when it comes to map rotations here. They're doing I mean, I'm very impressed. This feels like it's a little bit of a different version of X Team.
It's the better start that I've seen from them in the series we've seen so far at this tournament, for sure.
Yeah. They have done a phenomenal job so far, so they will be closing on the 10 a bit earlier than Tempest. But again, with the globals that they have, they should be able to compensate for that lack of XP, but it might cost them the Shrine.
Elegant just positioning himself down towards the bottom there. They need to rotate eventually up. They do have themselves slowly perching on level 10 as X Team here really prioritizing that Soken. I mean, if they leave Sylvanas down towards the bottom, look, this is actually really cool by X Team.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah, the fact that they're delaying that shrine from even being happen and forcing Tempest to deal with this pressure towards bottom is really nice.
Yeah, and then you're going to see the answer for Tempest instead is going to be starting the Shrine as soon as possible. So we need to see X Team get a little bit more than that turret. That was inevitably going to die. They need to threaten this fort if this is going to be a worth rotation for them. Illidan is collapsing as well.
And Dami's gone. They're giving this
job.
up.
And then that's a winning trade. When you think about it, what is this Punisher really going to be gaining, right?
A wall?
At best.
Yeah.
You don't have necessarily the best sieging when you look at the composition, Falstad and his poke. But outside of that, the Sylvanas not being on your side, Tempest is getting a losing trade here. So X Team looking like a completely different beast here.
The funny thing is that there's still the potential that X Team could try and wrestle this away if they're up here. It's an ambitious small window, but there's only 30 down so far. They're going to go on here aggressive, and if they get kills, especially towards Tassadar, he will shift away. Good Gus will be able to save him for just a moment. Dami's going crazy at the front. Dwarf toss out there for Elegant to try and continue this. Honkono will move away.
There are a lot of resources now. Both the teams popping multiple heroics.
Yeah, they can't do it
closely. There's no way they're going to be able to secure this. Tempest with just too big of a lead here, sitting at 34. So as long as they don't get a fort, that was a winning trade. Even if it gets the fort, it's an even trade. So X Team gaining that level advantage for now. We'll see if Tempest is able to come back with this.
And mid lane was pushing quite hard for X Team during all of this as well. So they are not doing too badly. They will try and clean this up at the moment. That wall's down though for Tempest. Look at that.
Yeah, and look at how much damage that Punisher's already taken, falling to half health here. Honkono looking to try and make an aggressive rotation. But it doesn't look like, it's going to leap in. The follow-up, is it going to be enough?
Oh, Elegant. Good dwarf toss out of there. Very important. And over the terrain as well, making it even harder for Tempest to follow up. They're going to get this fort by the looks of things. Nothing much they can do about it.
They are going to be able to get this fort, but there's one thing in particular that I really want to point out when it comes to X Team and making that rotation. Neglecting the Shrine and moving to bottom is... And securing that fort and not risking possibly not getting a fort at another point in time, I think is way more valuable in the sense that within Illidan composition, opening the map as fast as you possibly can is always going to be a winning trade. He needs to be able to get as many structures down, at least the forts, so that he has an area where he can chase his opponent as best as he possibly can. So making that rotation, getting mid fort and now bottom fort is a great decision for them.
Duck. Under a lot of pressure here. Dimensional Shift will eventually be popped. Likewise, we have Hyde coming in to try and help him. He does have Blink Heal, so he can get away himself. And that was a good little save there on towards Duck.
Yeah, next team maybe overextending a bit here.
Yeah, Honkono was trying to come in from the flank to maybe power slide in and get some damage done. Not going to be successful. Illidan, meanwhile, doing Illidan things towards the bottom, taking some easy camps.
Yeah, he's done a very good job of getting Split Soak on the map to try and negate the double global pressure on the side of Tempest. This is very impressive between these two teams, both being even in XP essentially at this point. And again, this looks like another threat of a structure coming up from X Team. If they are able to open this up, that will be all 3 forts. Illidan will be in a very prime spot to be able to capitalize on his opponent.
Flank coming in here. Lockdown going to fly in as well. Gust on 2. Tries to get 1 target. That is going to be Tao almost falling here. He can't really help himself too much. A great silence, able to keep him alive just for a moment. Oh, if Tassadar had been able to drop that storm just a little bit earlier, that's why the silence was so important. Tao gets away, but not long enough.
Yeah, he's not able to survive that situation. It was a great job from Honkono to be able to sniff him out and chase him down here. Now Tempest with the upper hand, getting rid of only 1 player, getting the Shaman Camp, timing it with the map objective here. They're going to have a great advantage moving on this next shrine.
Yeah, it's going to be good here for Tempest. As I say, with that level 13 kicking in as well. It will be shield dust. I won't be surprised if we see the bouncy dust as well later on for Hyde. But of course, the polymorph talent at level 16 is a bit more common nowadays, as their level 13's also hitting here for X Team as well. So looking down the list, not too much craziness. Earth Shield over the idea of tidal waves for Rhaegar, but because he went Lightning Bond, not too much surprise either.
Yeah, well, especially with the Illidan, being able to baby him as effectively as possible. Here comes the Super Sonya strategy with the double shields. Will Dami be able to survive this, Polaris?
And we'll see. Hyde will get away down towards the back there as well. Dami's still in the thick of things. Metamorphosis gets popped. Instant gust on towards him. Paradise actually had Ancestral Heal on towards him as well, as Paradise taking a lot of damage there. Dami now whirlwinding through the middle of this. That's a great force ball. Will seal in Rhaegar. He gets blown up under that, and that will be a Punisher going over to Tempest.
Yeah, Tempest now getting rid of the support and having a Punisher pushing for them. They are not done yet. They're going to get the chase. Great power slide and the force wall here. Elegant gonna dwarf toss out. Meanwhile, the Punisher leaping over, trying to make something happen, but that was phenomenal job from Tempest being able to deal with that Illidan as best as possible. And another thing to be looking, but they're not done.
Going on towards Sylvanas. She gets blown up under the pressure of that, and that is going to be another kill and a fort going over towards them. And seriously, I mean, the composition of the force wall with Sonya causing all of that problem in the middle of those shrines, they can't continue taking fights like that, can X Team, because they will get destroyed.
It would just keep happening over and over again. Sonya is such a hard target to be able to deal with when it comes to Infernal, and again, just being babied by those shields. And worst case scenario, even if they manage to get the upper hand in these fights, we always know that Lockdown is going to be sitting there with the Gus and just give you breathing room, for lack of a better word.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Dread, but on Shrine fights, especially Sonya, how are they supposed to stop her from whirlwinding and going crazy when the only real stuns they've got is a skill shot from Muradin, which is probably going to hit a skeleton anyway?
Yeah, it's very difficult for them to be able to interrupt that, and it just makes her that much more influential when it comes to this team fight. But one thing I want to point out earlier is the dive before that Shrine went into play that happened on the upper half of the map when X Team committed to the fort. It feels like that was a little bit of the struggles that we saw from them yesterday. They aren't nearly as committed now, but they feel like they have to just overly commit to certain objectives, and X Team was finally able to abuse that for the first time in this match.
And of course, as the X Team did have that little bit of advantage early on, but ETC once again power slides on towards Muradin. And now Tempest are really gathering steam and momentum. Lockdown took a lot of damage there to Li Ming, so has to move away for a moment. While Invasion onto the easy camp, and it looks like X Team's giving this up.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get a lot of camp pressure here. They're trying to wait till they get to the 16 with the advantage that they have. Brightwing is teleporting down, so they're going to take this fight before they get to it. Illidan going in here, Kalaris.
The flank up on towards Tassadar, trying to get him on as much as possible. Paradise, though, taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to metamorphosis. He only hits 1, I think, so he doesn't get much healing from it. Ancestral Healing will lock on towards him, though, as Tao is taking damage as well. Paradise still under a lot of pressure. Silence on towards ETC as well as Brightwing. Sylvanas dies up towards the top there, as Falstad kind of still in the thick of things, putting pressure on towards Elegant, and they're going to take this fight even further.
Yeah, they end up getting 2 kills here while the Shrine is going to be spawning. Lockdown instantly flying to the upper half, hoping that somebody would maybe, I think, make a misplay over that wall and be able to secure a kill here. But now, this is the second time that we've seen Tempest actually secure a couple of kills before the Shrine, being able to maximize the value of their lead here. So they're doing a great job so far in this matchup.
And we're seeing kind of a map out of Tempest's initial movements into this tournament. Early game, they weren't looking so fresh. But in this later stages of the game, that's where most Korean teams actually pick up a lot of strength compared to like the Chinese teams.
Yeah, it feels like maybe, especially when you look at eStar, that they're phenomenal when it comes to resource allocation in the early half of the game. But the minute you get 20, it just feels like they are going to win a team fight. If you are Korean, they just understand that later half of the map, or the game, so much better, it feels like, than some of the other regions here.
It seems it. And now Paradise is going to have to take this easy count while they know that it can't at all contest that shrine up towards the top. And that's potentially threatening a keep now. So they're going to have to kind of pull out some miracle here in terms of defense.
Yeah, they're going to be... Li Ming is going to have to play out of her mind. Yao Yao needs to make sure he gets a lot of DPS here because they're in a rough spot when it comes to this. But actually, you see Elegant and friends trying to get aggressive here. Even though the Punisher's about to come in, Elegant getting blown up.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to survive that. And the thing is, he doesn't even have Stoneform. He took give him the axe at level 16 anyway, so he doesn't have as much sustain as one would think. He needs... When you take something like that, you have to be coordinated as a team to make it work. And unfortunately that was not the case. Elegant dies, and now putting on a lot of pressure. Force Wall goes down, but it doesn't seal them in.
That's going to be a keep at this point, though. Losing the Murden player there that early, Elegant falling down for this team, really is going to hurt them. So already an entire keep. They need to get about one more kill if they're going to be able to secure the game. Great job baiting it out towards mid here.
Yeah, exactly.
For the X team.
Try and lure it towards other structures that isn't the core is very, very important, but it's just going on minions, and it will die before they actually get to any other structures. But that is a keep. A free keep here, basically, for Tempest.
Yeah, and that's the first time that we've really seen what looked like a desperate decision coming out from X Team. I think they might feel like they've fallen so far behind at this point that we're going to see those kind of radical decisions that we might have seen earlier in this tournament. They only have a short period of time to be able to secure a team fight without falling behind at the post 20. And when you face the double globals the way that Tempest composition is right now, you need to be the aggressors. They get to choose their fight very carefully, and usually that's going to be after 20.
Yeah, X Team and the Chinese meta here at the moment falling behind.
I love this from them. They understand that circumstance perfectly, so they go, guess what if we just threaten your keep front wall? But maybe the flank here.
What if Hong Chono comes in from the side here and tries to push them away? Wants somebody at the front, and a polymorph will stop Varnas being gusted as well. Instant detonation on her. And Paradise gets Ancestral Heal just before Rehgar goes down. Really in the thick of things. The positioning of the attack here from Tempest was nigh on impressive.
Yeah, that was a really good job from them. As I said, I really like the choice that X Team was able to make there. But because they had no understanding of the flank that was going to be coming in from Tempest, it really, obviously it ended up hurting them more than it ended up helping. Meanwhile, Lockdown's going to be moving towards the core. They only have 25 seconds for everybody to spawn and only 2 catapults. Brightwing going to be coming in, but with Li Ming only being able to, not only one going to be in defense here, I think they should be able to secure this game.
Yeah, they should be able to. With the globals, they are able to clear this wave quickly, which means the catapults can be on this quicker, and they're going to try and go for this window here. Korea trying to seal out this game. That's enough pressure, it looks like, here to be able to deal with this, unless Sylvanas lands the most amazing Wailing Arrow, but it's not going to be enough by the looks of things. That will be Tempest taking game number 1 here against X Team, even with the gust and the level 20.
The wind tunnel there, making it very difficult for X Team to try and get in and defend their core, but Tempest convincingly takes this game. And in very Korean fashion, as you brought up earlier, it felt like in the early game, it wasn't necessarily that they weren't, it's not that they weren't impressive or anything. It's just, we hit the later half of the game. Guess what? We know how to take our team fights. We're going to be able to outplay you. And that seemed like the name of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like X Team needs to pull Tempest off of what their exact comfort is. They got very much of what we know to see Tempest play while they were taking the Korean Super League. So I would like to see them maybe get them on a little less standard, if you will, for Tempest.
There was a cool moment. Even at the very end of that game, we didn't actually be able to highlight because we didn't look at 20 talents, but triple Storm Shield, even on ETC, because they know all they have to do is sustain and kill the core.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I really like that.
I like those level 20 adaptations to be able to deal with, like, this is how we win. This is like, may as well make the adjustment.
Yeah. All right, well, let's head over to the panel to see what they think about game number 1 here between Tempest and X Team.